Status at Magny apparently getting hotter and hotter, Tony. So Voss, yeah, in for Charpentier, obviously, who cleaned up the championship a little bit earlier on. I understand that his history is in model car racing, but they take these things very, very seriously in Holland. Believe it or not, he had not only a main mechanic, Neil, but a suspension mechanic when he was racing model cars.
I'm sorry, freak. You know, he obviously needed to get out more often. Thankfully, he found motorcycle racing, and obviously he's not too bad at it. He's qualified in the second row, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Is it his first year, or...?
Well, he's...
Kevin Curtin, Fabian Forey, Brock Parks. Who's going to get the fast start?
Fabrizio.
And Fabrizio gets a scalding start on that mega bike Honda. The red Honda swoops round into the Grande Curva in the lead. And right alongside him, though, is the teak tough Kevin Curtin. And Curtin just makes a move up the inside and then runs wide. Just like that. Start to sort the race out at the first of 23 laps. Why don't you, son?
They'll start beating them out of each other in the first corner. That's what they do.
Brock Parks is in third place. Fabrizio back at the front. The two Yamaha second and third. Forey's got a better start than he usually does. And Stefan Chambong, look, little lightning fast Chambong, number 8, has also leapt to the fore. Brock Parks goes right through and past. And I think they almost had a 1-2 for a moment then as Fabrizio responds going downhill. Absolutely, side by side, but Fabrizio's back in front. Brock Parks is second, Kevin Curtin third, Fabian Forey, number 99, is fourth. What a cracking start in the beautiful sunshine here. Track temperatures scorching in the mid-30s. And Fabrizio scorching at the front. The young man from Frascati, just outside Rome, whose racing hero, not surprising, is that other well-known Roman Max Biaggi. So Fabrizio leads it. Parks. Kevin Curtin surprisingly taking his time after that some rash early move. Stefan Chambong is fifth. And is that Tommy Forrest who's made a scorching start? Because he's there. That is Brock Parks going from third to first. One very neat. Perhaps he ought to have his dad with him more often.
And then neatly slotting back into third after
I thought, yeah. Oh, has he? I beg your pardon. Or slotted back into second after rolling wide. I beg your pardon, yes. So Fabrizio is at the front. Brock Parks alongside him, almost shoulder to shoulder down the straight. But the Honda showing that it's got the speed.
Yeah, the Honda generally in this class has had the speed.
Yamaha's new R6 due out next year. Kevin Curtin's very excited because he's already tried it at Osher.
You read the spec and you...
Oh, who's that?
Kawasaki.
Oh, it was a Kawasaki that went down. It might have been Canepa who flew away bike number 55. Oh, he'll be disappointed with that. He'd started from 11th place on the grid on the Kawasaki. So this is high-speed action already. The Kawasaki goes down. He's out. The number 55 Kawasaki, Nicolo Canepa, the 17-year-old from Genoa, drops the light-speed Kawasaki. And that's a shame because he's a kid who's just been drafted into the team in the last 2 rounds, and he's been showing a bit more spirit than some of the guys who've been on the light-speed Kawasaki's before now.
He was there.
He certainly was showing a lot of spirit there. And exactly the 4 guys who are on the front row of the grid have been able to break away, helped a little bit by that misfortune, leaving Stefan Chambon fighting off Xavier Forest.
Here comes Forey. Oh, that's a wide line.
He's getting underneath Curtin. No. Curtin seems to just comfortably leave the door open for him there. Just saying, yeah, have a go through. Oh, Forey did one of his famous looks over the wrong side. Kevin Curtin tries to get around the outside but can't quite make it stick.
And then gets up the inside.
Whoa, just carve it up the inside now. Can he hold the line this time? Yes.
Just held onto it.
He needs to because he can see that those front guys are getting away from him.
Yep.
Kevin Curtin didn't start racing until he was turned 25. He used to be a dirt tracker and a motocrosser, and then he settled into dirt tracking because he didn't beat his body up as much as he did motocrossing. But he said there's no real future in that particular arm of the sport. It was not until he was 25 that he suggested to his dad that perhaps they'd try a bit of road racing.
Yeah, in actual fact, he's getting on for 40, but he hasn't done as much riding as some of the other younger riders out there.
No.
And he's still got fire in his belly.
He still very much wants. And this is Brock Parks also with fire in his belly. Comes underneath Michel Fabrizio. Battle of the young guns, and the old boy there just keeping an eye on them in third place. And then this long plunge down This takes you through the Nürburgring, the right-hander, and then into the long, long 180 degree.
And then back up the hill.
All that is downhill, and then you hit the apex, or you miss the apex, and then you come back onto the apex, and then this long, curving, very, very demanding uphill drag.
And then up towards the fastest chicane in the world, up to Imola, which they're just coming out of now.
And you can't actually see that right-hander as you come out of the hollow. It's kind of, it
That's
drops
Imola.
away again.
Yeah, that is a fast chicane.
Brock Parks looks as if last weekend at Imola, despite the fact that he went backwards when it started to rain, has done his confidence a load of good.
Yep.
Parks at the moment, of course, 6th in the championship, 100 points. He can't really go anywhere. Fabrizio on 122 ahead of him is hardly likely to, one would have thought, and that to allow him to grab that place in the championship. But Fabrizio now coming under fire from the other Yamaha of Kevin Curtin.
Yeah, and both Parks and Curtin stopping with Yamaha Germany for next year, and both, particularly Parks, really looking forward to getting his backside on the new R6. It does look something special, I've got to say. Could be Yamaha's year in this class next year, I think.
Kevin Curtin in 3rd place. Oh, what a tight line he's able to hold on the relatively elderly R6 there in pursuit of the Megabike Honda. There is Xavier Forrest, number 12, and then number 21, Katsuaki Fujiwara, coming into the picture. So Fujiwara on the leading of the Tenkate Hondas, a couple of places ahead of Ari Voss as Fabian Forrest squeezes past Kevin Curtin and into 2nd place. Make that Michel Fabrizio, because Forrest still holding 4th in 4th place. So Fabrizio pretty determined to take full advantage, if possible, of the fact that he got onto pole position for the first time this year. And of course, Fabrizio wants the points. You can see in the championship that his teammate Fabian Forrest just up ahead of him there. The fastest lap now goes to Brock Parks. He's really broken away. 144.183 for Brock Parks.
And I tell you what, you've got to be an hard man to stay in front of Curtin for any length of time. And he does. He will ride wheel to wheel, fairing to fair in all race, and it just doesn't bother him.
It's time to cut into. Oh, look at the way he picks up drive, and that was a lovely move by Curtin. Has he got the speed to hold off the Honda? Yes. Downhill, I suppose it's a little more about courage than it is about sheer brake horsepower, James.
He got the drive out of the top hairpin there, and that's what sort of sped him down the hill as fast.
So Curtin through into 2nd place. He actually, when he went back to Australia at the end of 2002, owed lots of money by the team that had gone under. He just thought, that's it, I've had it with Europe, I'm never coming back. And he won the Australian Formula Extreme and Australian Supersports Championships that year on Yamaha. And then he got a call late in the year from the Yamaha Germany people saying, look, you know, our boys are struggling, we don't know whether it's the bike or the riders, can you come over and do Imola? And as he put it, he said, they said, we'll put the fuel tank on the back wheel or vice versa if you think it'll help, but try anything on the bike to sort it out. And he had a good result at Imola, and they wanted him back the following year, but he's just lost 2nd place to 4th because he's been outbraked by both of those Megabike Hondas.
In actual fact, Jack, that was outpowered, I think, up the hill into the...
Not outpowered down the hill. What did I say about courage matters more when you're going downhill? So straight back in front of Fabian Forrest and Michel Fabrizio, and Forrest now becomes the leading mega biker. He's through into 3rd place. Kevin Curtin, who doesn't always favour a dark visor when you expect him to, is now there in 2nd place on bike number 11, chased by number 99 Forrest, number 84 Fabrizio, the leader number 23 Brock Parks. Second place then for Kevin Curtin. A Yamaha 1-2 right now. Brock Parks has really lit the blue touch paper. He's taking off at the front.
Yeah, and he's actually...
Parks on 144.2 on that lap was half a second quicker than his immediate pursuer, Kevin Curtin. But of course they're swapping paint, aren't they? They're making things tricky for themselves. Now a bit of clear lap, 144.3 against 144.9, so he drew another 6/10. He's got a 1.9 second advantage at this moment.
Yeah, and Forrest for me has never regained his previous form from after his Brands Hatch crash where he broke his ankle, and I'm sure that has had an effect on his riding now. He's good now, but he was fairly outstanding before that, and I think that's just maybe knocked the wind out of his sails a little bit. It stopped him training for a long time, which affected his fitness, obviously.
And there's Michel Fabrizio dipping back inside Fabien Foret. Foret tries to get back on terms as they dive downhill, but the young Roman's back in front. Incidentally, the 15th place and final point at the moment to go to the prettiest bike in the race, the beautiful little bike service R6 of Ivan Goy, 25-year-old Italian. It's a kind of sky blue, spotty affair. It really is beautiful.
Yeah, an X125 GP rider and front wheel.
Something that Claffey was saying, by the way, this morning was that there are actually a couple of 250cc Grand Prix teams interested in moving into World Superbikes because the budgets are fairly similar between running a World Superbike team and a motorcycle Grand Prix 250 team.
Yeah, and what's happened with World Superbikes over the last couple of years, it's really come good again. Its stock's rising and people are seeing it as a genuinely competitive and credible championship. And this is why you're getting a lot of sort of displaced or disgruntled or disillusioned MotoGP riders looking, you know, poking around the paddock, looking at getting a job in World Superbike for next year.
Kevin Curtin knows that he'll be back in World Supersports, and he's really looking forward to it with that new R6 because he feels like he could be a really credible championship challenger rather than leading life on the edge as he's been doing all this year.
Yeah, I think Kevin Curtin's seen next year, especially with the bike he's going to be on. It goes in big cycles, and Honda's had, for me, slightly had the advantage in World Supersport for the last couple of 3 years. The R6 is getting a bit long this tooth. It's still able to run up front occasionally, but I think next year Curtin sees his best chance of winning a World Championship, especially at his age. He has however much he wants to keep going, winding down, and there's less and less years left for him. And I think he sees next year as his best chance.
And Kevin Curtin there just getting shunted aside again at the hairpin, but once again responding instantly to try and get back on terms with Fabrizio. 6th and 7th places for the Winston 10 Carter Hondas. Fujiwara 6th, bringing up the back of this particular convoy. I don't know when the convoy's quite the word when Kevin Curtin's involved. It hardly stays nose to tail when this race-hardened Aussie's in there. Curtin just losing out on that. He's a guy who'd take on anything. When he was younger, there was a tyre fitting. He did have a regular job once upon a time. A tyre fitting term wanted him to start fitting their exhaust systems. And he said, well, I didn't know how to do it, but I said, I'm sure I could figure it out. And he ended up setting up his own business, fitting Protec exhaust, which he only just sold 2 years ago for a hefty sum of money, which allowed him to buy up properly his house alongside a lake in Newcastle, an hour and a half up the coast from Sydney.
No,
but he has his family living with him in Dusseldorf in Germany for the whole of the racing season.
Yeah, you see a lot of them on a paddock bike going in and out of the hospitality units. But he is a little drafter, this Curtin. He'll love this. I mean, he'd obviously prefer to be battling at the front, but he doesn't mind if he's battling. He kind of enjoys it. He likes all this rough and tumble.
So he's rough and tumbling his way into second place right now, but he's got the Megabike Hondas right there behind him. Voss leading the second wave in 7th place ahead of Stigfeldt. And Stefan Chambon 9th. Gianluca Nanelli setting his fastest lap of the races in 10th now ahead of Legrive. Jarno Janssen, the newly crowned Dutch Supersports champion. Tatu Lasleto, Alicio Corrado and Ivan Goy, who's just ahead of number 78, who's a new young South African on the scene. The 24-year-old Hudson Keno from Natal in South Africa, riding for Moto 1 Suzuki. That was a look back at the start. We've suddenly had flung at us just to see what happened, but really this is more interesting now because this is the battle between Curtin and Fabrizio, and I hardly think the gaps matter when people are this close together.
Not at all.
Brock Park's 1.696, so these lads are now just about on the same pace as Brockley. They've kind of just steadied him up a bit, so his gap is staying consistent at just under 2 seconds. Perhaps he's feeling masterful enough to just hold it that way. Oh, here comes Fabrizio.
Oh, you don't get any change out, Curtin.
And they don't get any change out of Foray as well. He's straight back underneath saying, thank you very much, I'll take that opportunity if you're going to hand it to me. Oh, but he's not. Yes, he is. Fabian comes deep down into the Lycée turn because there's a school alongside it. Probably the village school used to be nice and peaceful before this was built. Number 23, Parks leads, 11, Curtin second, Foray number 99 third, Fabrizio 84 is fourth. And once, of course, we've got the 10 Carter Winston Hondas in the race, but not actually running away with it as they go peeling off along the back straight. It's fantastic throttle on the stop stuff. Number 21, Katsuaki Fujiwara, not looking forward to the gears. He's got to change down through and brake heavily into this hairpin. But he knows how desperate he is as Foray holds the inside line. Teammates indeed.
That makes it worse though, Jack, sometimes.
Yeah. Just a reminder that Fujiwara at the moment is 9 points ahead of Foray in the championship, so he knows he's got to stay in touch with these guys. And Fabian knows he needs as many points as he possibly can if he's going to dislodge the rival Honda team from third place in the championship, because Charpentier and Curtin, well, Curtin hasn't got it completely wrapped up. He has a 17-point advantage in second place. Oh, and that was a bit of red on red paintwork, or paint to knee, I think. And with these two just beating one another up a bit, Kevin Curtin has just inched away slightly in this 23-lap race, and he's just glanced over his shoulder to check what the situation is. I just wonder now whether he's going to look at that bit of clear track ahead of him and whether he might be gaining on his teammate. We'll check the gap next time round.
It's the first time he hasn't had to worry about anybody being behind him and passing into every slow corner. But he's able to, if he can, put 3 or 4 good laps together and try and catch his teammate Brock Park.
The guys don't half make use of that sort of artificial matting stuff on the outside of that turn when they come out of it, don't they? Right bang alongside where we are here.
In actual fact, if you look as well, going into turn 1 after the start and finish, there's some cones that the Superbike lads were knocking over in race 1. And those cones are there because there is a little bit of runoff area that's part of another track layout they've got here. And actually, when they didn't have the cones there, people were using an extra 20 feet of track and swooping into the first corner.
Yeah.
They put the cones there to stop them using it, but they're still using it. And just knocking the cones down as they go.
By the way, Xavier Forrest, the young Spaniard's having a cracking ride on bike number 12. It's the first time we've really seen him living with these guys at the front this season. Forrest in 9th place in the championship, 60 points to his name. I don't think he can really go anywhere from there. 81 points. The next score is Gianluca Nanelli, and Nanelli is lying in 10th place on the Ducati. The first of the Ducatis not enjoying it so much around here. Nanelli in 10th, Carradi in 14th place. They've been real challenges. Nanelli, remember, winning magnificently his first World Supersport triumph at Imola just a week ago.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, in second place, we have number 11, Kevin Curtin. Right behind him is the battle of the Megabike Hondas. Well, the man at the front still, Brock Parks. Well, here we are back on air with a replacement microphone. We just had a problem with a headset then here, which has basically been sorted out. Back with you on air. And this battle's still going on between Hondas and Yamahas, particularly the two Hondas of number 84, Fabrizio, the pole position setter, who said he was surprised at the fact that he got pole position. He felt it was quite a quick lap, but he said there was still quite a lot of shiny stuff on his tyres that he didn't think would allow him to go that quickly when he first set out. Brock Parks at the front. I keep thinking that gap's dropping, but he's keeping it persistently just below 2 seconds, James, at the moment, with 10 out of 23 laps complete.
Yeah, he's Fabrizio looking at his teammate. But this is a fantastic last round for the Yamaha.
Someone's gone down hard. Oh, no. And that was Julian Angelaris. I don't even know where he was in the race, but he was outside the top 18, that we know. He was into 24th, but he'd crashed out. That's why they've got him in 24th place. He might have been a bit further up than that.
And this is a good run for the Yamahas, just at the pot. This is a brilliant send-off for the R6 that's been around for, well, basically virtually unchanged, a lot of it since 1999, really. So we're going back 6 years.
Since you were riding that very bike in its heyday, James, and winning.
Yeah, sometimes, occasionally.
Occasionally victorious. Turned him victorious, happy and occasionally glorious. James Whittam.
And it's looking as good as it's ever looked, just when they're going to retire it.
Yeah. But isn't that so often the case? Well, let's hope the replacement, which looks even better, will perhaps produce the goods for Yamaha next year. You never know, get them right back there in contention with the Hondas. But of course, they're still going to end up with second place in the championship,
yeah.
Looks like. Pretty impressive.
It is, but a lot of that's due to Kevin Curtin. He's rode brilliant this year. In my opinion, he's rode excellent.
So Curtin, number 11, a 39-year-old, formerly from Sydney. This is his 51st race of his World Supersports career, his on-off World Supersports career. 3 victories in that time, but at the moment he's losing out to number 23, Brock Parks.
And incidentally, I was reading about the spec on the new R6 Yamaha, and it's going to rev, the standard road bike's going to rev to 17,000 RPM. So you can bet that the kitted World Supersport bike is going to be revving, you know, maybe 1,000, 1,500 revs above that. That is a lot of revs. That's going to be screaming.
Oof, a moment there for Fabian Forer, lifted out of the saddle of the Megabike Honda. James, if you're revving a thing that high, what's the rev band you've got to keep it in at race pace then? Where does your rev band start?
It depends. These things pull fairly well. I mean, it is a gearbox is more important in a super sport bike than it is in a super bike, because they've got less of a spread of power. The power band, if you like, is a narrower band than with the super bikes. But to be honest, it's still pull from. I mean, I remember the last one I rode and revved to maybe 16, the race bike, and you know, it's pulling strong from sort of 9,000 RPM. So it's not like the old two-strokes where you had 1,000 RPM rev band to keep it in, so you needed 15 gears. You know, before they were limited to 6 speeds in the early 70s, there was some, you know, 4-cylinder, two-stroke, 125 with 15 gears. You know, they needed the gears because they only had a narrow rev range. These are really rideable bikes, these 600s now.
These guys are certainly riding them because they're all lapping exactly together in the mid-144. So that means that Parks is cleverly maintaining that gap at about 1.9 seconds, super consistently. And Xavier Forest, just in the background there, number 12, has just slipped off their lap times to the mid-45. So he's now drifted to about 6.8 seconds behind the leader. Although he is in turn 8 seconds ahead of Voss, and the fastest lap has gone to the racecourse is actually Fabrizio's on lap 6 of a 1:44.071.
Yeah, but you can bet now the tyres are starting to move around a little bit, and you know, at this stage in the race, when it's settled a little bit, it's I mean, they're doing what they can, but with the tyres they've got now, it would be difficult to see how they're going to go much quicker than that at this stage.
The battle on still raging between the two Megabike guys. I wonder if they're both going to be racing as teammates again next season. The one, of course, Fabrizio just turned 21, Fabien Foret, a 32-year-old Frenchman from Angoulême. One of the Andorra gang, actually. Apparently Chris Vermeulen is going to spend more time back in Andorra because he just likes, in the UK, he finds it's too often a little bit grey in the morning and he doesn't feel like going out for his run and stuff or getting out on his motocross bike, so he's looking to sunnier climes again.
Behave. That's what makes people tough. A bit of bad weather.
Well, I exactly agree with you. And look at this, number 21, Katsuaki Fujiwara is in trouble. He's going backwards, James. He's going backwards. He's back to 9th place. His lap then was 1:46.8. I think he may be beginning to suffer. And that's number 81, his teammate for the weekend, Voss, Ari Voss, who's now in that battle with Johan Stiegfeld, number 116.
And Chambon.
Kano's into 15th place now. The 24-year-old reigning South African Superbike champion is in 15th place behind Ivan Goy, so he's in the points ahead of the Dutch champion Jarno Jansen. And look at this, a real battle going on now between the Stiggy Honda number 116 and 81, who Ari Voss, so let's get it right, Schwarzenegger Voss, is a former called a model car champion, incidentally. Whoops, they're still banging fairings in 3rd and 4th places. Of course, it's the last rostrum place that counts for these guys. Foray versus Fabrizio, final race of the World Supersport season of 2005. You have to have faith in one another, don't you, James?
Yeah, you've got to trust them. This is the good thing about bikes. With cars, especially with the touring type cars, it is possible to, you know, swap a lot of paint, bang each other's bumpers, nudge each other off, and generally nerf each other around if you're in a close race with somebody. But the bikes, you've got to, even if you dislike intensely the person who you're racing with, there's no way you can actually knock them down or hit them without chancing falling down yourself. So you must have respect for them, even if you don't like the people you're racing with. But it is a fact that most people get on fairly well with each other in the paddock anyway.
Brock Parks took a couple of tenths out of Kevin Curtin on that lap, so with 9 laps to go, he has just slightly increased his advantage to just the top end of 2 seconds. So Brock Parks, the 45-time junior Australian dirt track champion, who was originally an Australian champion in the under-9 modified Pee-wee class when he was 5 years old back in 1987, solidly in the lead here ahead of his teammate Kevin Curtin. Parks leads then for Yamaha Germany. Looking so neat and tidy. I mean, we forget, of course, he had a hand injury in the early part of the season. So Brock Parks coming back from that hand injury that he suffered in the early part of the season. He's only really truly got back to full fitness in the last quarter of this racing term.
In actual fact, like you were saying, when Brock Parks is going well, he really does look smooth. He looks to be enjoying himself. He doesn't make many mistakes. But he has blown a little bit hot and cold this year.
Behind these guys, Forrest still there in 5th place. Stiggy versus Voss in 6th and 7th. Shambong right behind them, 0.3 of a second behind in 8th place. And also for company, he's got Katsuaki Fujiwara, who's not out of this yet. But Fujiwara, he's got to be concerned about the points, because if he loses too much space to Fabien Foret, then that could really result in a turnaround on the final rostrum place in the championship. Fujiwara presently 9 points clear. And remember, Brock Parks lost the outside footrest change. What was that about? Did the back end just give on him then, mid-corner?
The back sort of bobbled in his foot. You've only actually got the toe of your foot on the footrest. It doesn't take much just to dislodge it. Especially when you're actually... It's a lot of times your outside foot is relaxing on the footrest and a lot of more weight on the inside footrest.
Fabien Foret needs to better 4th place. That's where, remember, the point scoring system, 25 per win, 20 for second. Oh, and that's that's not Foret, is that?
That's Fujiwara, I think.
Fujiwara down. Or is it Ari Voss? I think it might be Ari Voss who's lost the front end, and that will in fact benefit Katsuaki Fujiwara. So it may be Ari Voss who took a dive. It was. And that means Fujiwara is back into 8th place, struggling but in 8th place, and he's got about 6 seconds on Nanelli, and 8th place would give him 8 points. And at the moment, Fabien Foret on 13. In fact, that would be enough. And if Foret went to 16 points, the difference would be 8 points, which would mean that Fujiwara would hang on to 3rd place in that championship by 1 point, even if Foret gets to 3rd. He needs 2nd. So if Foret's to grab that 3rd place in the championship, he needs to at least get past Kevin Curtin. He's all right to let this man win the race, but he needs 2nd place.
For the first 2 riders, he ain't going to get that.
It doesn't look that way because they're lapping so consistently in those mid. In fact, just as I say that, Brock Parks drops to a 1:45, but Curtin's on a 1:44.9, Fabrizio 1:44.8, and Foret 1:45.0. So as the tyres begin to go off, 16 laps in out of 23, the race pace just drips back slightly. And they're absolutely identical. Parks and Foret, one of those fluky little coincidences, 1:45.031, each one of them lapped in.
So they needed thousands of a second.
Fantastic. And Forrest, Stigfeld, Shambong, Fujiwara crosses the line, still there about 0.3 of a second behind Shambong, and 5 seconds in front of Gianluca Nanelli's Ducati. Ari Voss has recovered well. He's still in the fray in 11th place, but Alessio Carradi's Selmat Ducati is now just a half second behind him in 12th. So another of the great dirt track rodeo riding sliders, Brock Parks, born on Christmas Eve in 1981 at Cessnock in the Hunter Valley in New South Wales.
That's terrible, because it means you only get 1 set of presents a year.
I know, it's awful time to be born in it. And here comes Stefan Chambon, versus Katsuaki Fujiwara. That's the moment at which the tiny little Shambong on the Gill Motorsport Honda got the better of Fujiwara's Tenkate Honda. Fujiwara's got it. For such a happy, smiling man, he's got an amazingly combative little son called Hiroto, who doesn't, kind of takes an instant dislike to people and starts pummeling them if they go near him. His name means big heart in English.
All right.
And he is big-hearted, you can certainly say that about him. Little dynamic 3-year-old. Brock Parks, 23-year-old, passes the start-finish once again. He's now 6 laps to go, in the lead by 2.4 seconds over his teammate Kevin Curtin. And Curtin is 2.1 seconds ahead of Fabien Faure, so the chances of the Ferret grabbing that second place and with it third in the championship look fairly slim at the moment. That's if Fujiwara can hang in there in 8th. And although the gap dropped to 4 seconds that time, I don't think Nanelli's going to be lapping quick enough to do anything about that in the closing stages. Having said that, Nanelli just took a second out of him on that particular lap. So perhaps last week's winner in the aggregate double heat race in the dampness of Imola could yet do something about this, could yet have a say in this championship in the 3rd place outcome. But this battle keeps raging on. Fabien Faure needs the points. Someone, back marker there, kindly pulling as far out of the way as he possibly could and almost going off to the bus stop.
Was that the Coleman, the ride in black?
No, he's the lovely Polish lad who failed to qualify for World Superbikes. You're mixing up your categories there, James. Now, what a relief being able to correct Whittam on. Oh, to Daisy! Fabien Faure completely misses the Chateau d'Eau. He's obviously made a water stop unscheduled, and that's really cost him dear, and it looks unlikely that he's got a better 13 points and 4th place right now. So that means that Katsuaki Fujiwara's painful battle to grab points at this final race, injured hand and all, just might pay off. And we might end up with a 1-3 in the championship for the Tenkate Honda squad with 5 laps to go. Oh, dear me, where was he off to then?
Spotted somebody new in the crowd.
When you've got, is Fabien a lad who likes to have his braking marker points, do you know, and sort of hit them accurately, or is he the sort of when I see God I stop?
No, most of the riders will have braking markers and use reference points around the circuit to tell them, where to brake and where to turn in, etc. But to be honest, when you've done that many laps around a circuit in a weekend, you can almost guess it by this stage in the weekend. And he obviously either missed his braking marker or guessed just slightly wrong on that occasion.
And this is Fujiwara coming again at Stefan Shambong. He probably doesn't know what's happening ahead of him, and he feels that he's feeling the heat from Nanelli. Nanelli there is really hauling these two in. Nanelli making a late charge then on the NCR Ducati as these two come stonking down in their battle for 7th place. Katsuaki Fujiwara, the smiling Japanese rider, is looking to hang on to that 3rd place in the championship, and this is the way he's going to do it. Broken hand or not. And Fabrizio escaping a little after that mistake of number 99 Fabien Faure's. Another interesting point is that Shambong's only 5 points ahead of Nanelli in the championship, so they also have a little personal feud going on. Stefan Shambong, of course, former champion back in 1999 for Alstara Corona Suzuki. Parks leads it, 2.3 seconds ahead of Kevin Curtin.
To be honest, Jack, you're saying, he's got a little personal battle in the championship, but to be honest, once you're below 3rd place in the championship, it don't matter.
All that you want is race results.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody says to you in the off season, before the next season, where did you finish in the championship? Yeah, you don't like saying 8th or 9th. You'd rather not say anything. You'd rather shout eagle and point at the sky and then walk away when
Number 11 Curtin, 84 Fabrizio, who looks like he may be able to end up rewarding his first pole position with a rostrum position.
He's a confident lad, though. I would have thought he'd be fairly disappointed with that. I must admit, I know on the rostrum you shouldn't be disappointed, but I'm sure he thinks he could have done better than that and run right at the front.
He'll have his 122 points right where he is now. He'll go to 138, but with Foray just behind him, Foray will go on from 131 to 144.
I think 3 laps left of the... Oh, that's another
We've
one.
had another 4 lap. Oh, that might be Karadi. It's Karadi Selmet Ducati. Oh, and that was a big one for the former European Supersports champion.
It was, and I tell you what, Jack, they're all moving the front end. It's always front end crash.
It is always front end here. Yeah. It's been a catalogue of front end here, hasn't it? So number 13, unlucky for some, the 29-year-old Alessio Carrari from Guastaglia in Italy crashes out on the 749 Selmat Ducati. And that was a shame. He was lying in 12th place, but he could see Ari Vos just ahead of him, and that didn't look comfortable.
Fast crash.
So Karadi crashes out, which moves up. Allows Lato on the team Claffey Honda into 12th place. Ivan Goy goes 13th. Jarno Janssen 14th. And we've also lost the young South African Hudson Cano, the reigning South African Superbike champ.
And that was into turn 1 where Karadi crashed. That is a
that is
fast crash.
It's a horrible place to come down. So no wonder he bounced a fair bit.
Yep. 120 mile an hour.
Number 11, Kevin Curtin, still there in second place. Is Fabrizio putting on a late drive?
He is.
He did a 144.9 against Kevin Curtin's mid 145 on the last lap. And I think Fabrizio's finding a bit of late race steam here. And he's really got his head down and is going for Kevin Curtin.
He is. He pulled 9/10 of a second back on Curtin on that last lap. He's only got 2 laps to do it at the end of this one.
So Fabrizio gets his head down on a Megabike Honda. Can the former European Superstock champion do anything about Kevin Curtin here? Fabrizio, whose first year of racing in the year 2000, that man on bike number 84, was the win. He won the Aprilia Challenge.
Another 4/10 quicker than Curtin that lap, and I think in 2 laps he's got enough to do it because he's within 4/10 of a second of him.
So this could be just building up to something of a grandstand finish. And I'll tell you what, with Foray behind him there on 100. I'm sorry, I'm talking championship points again. I'll shut up. Number 11, Kevin Curtin, glances over his shoulder. Number 84, Michel Fabrizio, closing the gap. And he can almost feel the heat from the red Megabike Honda now.
Yeah.
And they're hitting traffic. Oh boy, are they hitting traffic. A ton of it.
And when they get this close, you can actually hear him in the slow corners. You can hear the other bike's engine. So he'll know he's there, but he's had a couple of looks around anyway. It's just a matter of whether he's got anything left in the tyres and himself.
And Suzuki Netherlands, Ron van Steenbergen will be the first man that they take on.
Ron van Steenboot. Oh, this is Karadi's crash again. And that's 120, just short of 120 miles an hour. That's a fast crash. And it didn't look like he broke anything. He got up and wandered away, but he's going to be sore in the morning.
He did bounce around, didn't he? That was really sort of ball bearing in a bathtub stuff. And now Michel Fabrizio is right with Kevin Curtin, just as Curtin gets in amongst the back markers to and he just had to power bolt past Steamboat there. There was nothing that the Dutchman could do about that. He didn't even have a chance to get out of the way. So Kevin Curtin, no mincing here. We're really in amongst the traffic, and Michel Fabrizio has got a charge on, the bit between his teeth. 1 lap to go in this 23-lap World Supersport climax to the 2005 season.
More back markers, this is just what they don't need.
Loads of them. And it's closing everything up as they went into the last lap, and Curtin had carved this man Brock Park's advantage down to a second. I'm not sure that Parks likes traffic. Yeah, I'm not sure that traditionally he's ever dealt terribly well with traffic. He's got to do now. He's got to find the speed up to the back straight. And look at this, he's got James.
There's one thing, Curtin will be definitely better than Brock Parks, but you want to get to the traffic first and throw them to the people behind you and let them deal with them, but you can get held up, and you can easily get held up half a second easily.
Oh dear, yeah, I think he's got them at the right time. He's got them at just the right time. Kevin Curtin dives underneath number 61, Thomas Metro. And Michel Fabrizio tries to carve his way through as well.
I think that's just sealed second for Curtin.
Oh, look at this, number 34 doesn't realise what's going on. Jose Manuel Hurtado from Alicante is just absolutely the cat amongst the pigeons who shouldn't be there. Number 34 is getting lashed by the leaders, but he's done enough to delay these guys, especially Fabrizio.
And just as I thought, Curtin has been particularly hard and good through the back markers, and I think that's given him second place.
Kevin Curtin looks like he might be, oh, but look, Fabrizio's coming back at him straight away. And Hurtado is still, he is, look, he doesn't want to let off.
So, I think Curtin maybe he's got a problem with the tyre.
But Brock Parks
let you do it.
So this has got to be it. He's got to get on, and Curtin is so good at getting on the gas through here. And the hard-bitten, hollow-cheeked Australian glances over his shoulder. But look how fast he is on that descent, James.
Yeah, he gets out of the top hairpin Chateau d'Or very well.
And that's going to be a Yamaha 1-2 for Yamaha Germany before the old R6 waves goodbye with a double win. Brock Parks and Kevin Curtin. Third place for Megabike Honda's frustrated Michel Fabrizio. Fourth place for Fabien Foray on the second of the Megabike Hondas.
It's like the good old days with Kellner and Toyka.
Yes, it is.
But no, they mainly knocked each other off on the last.
Signed up for next year with Yamaha Germany. And if you can go out with the old R6 like that, it only puts the pressure on for next year. They'll have to come back with a 1-2 at the first round next year.
I think they'll come back with a goodbye next year.
So Brock Parks, Kevin Curtin, Michel Fabrizio on the rostrum. Fabien Foray fourth. Javier Forres hangs on to that fifth. As the Yamaha Germany boys hugging one another as they walk down the pit lane as well. So everybody's really enjoyed that good show.
You probably won't see Brock Parks' girlfriend because she's been drafted in to be the Superbike team. That's Hager and Pitts. One of their brolly dollies this weekend. They've run short of models to go out, so they've actually requisitioned his girlfriend into all in the brolly and putting a silly dress on for him.
Well, if you don't mind wearing it after his wild card appearances, because of course he presumably had been out. Indeed, he scored 9 points at Imola, 3 points in his home round at all sorts of
multinational,
completely multinational squad. Yeah.
There's going to be not much left of that tyre.
And that was when we lost
Voss.
Harry Voss, but he hung on to it. Look at that. He did. He kept that clutch in. He kept the